Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Uprise webinar, Developing a Money Mindset. Please just say hi in the chat so that I know that you're there and that you can hear me. And sometimes it's nice to share, which country that you're on, because we do always now acknowledge country. I'm sitting on the country of the Gumbaynggirr peoples of one. And they're the traditional custodians of this land, and I'd like to acknowledge that. And I'd also like to pay my respects to their elders, past and present, while welcoming any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are present with us here today. I feel a great sense of gratitude for being able to sit on this country that was never ceded at any time in its history. Okay, so I'm Nigel, psychological coach with Uprise. This is about money mindset. I've got a Master's of Business Administration. I'm an investor in shares and property and all sorts of things. I have been interested in money for a long time. This is the that we did a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and that was focused very much on the foundations of saving and debt, and understanding how to leverage debt, and how to maximize your savings based upon your income. So really, that was kind of nuts and bolts. This one is about working with what's between your ears and addressing the internal barriers to your financial success. So we will start with the worry side of things, where money worries come from and what yours are. I really encourage you to open up a blank page, to use the chat if you're comfortable using the chat, just to do some sharing and get your ideas out. The webinars are recorded, but the chat isn't recorded, and I won't ever reveal your name. So your name appears in the chat, but I won't reveal that when I'm speaking, so it won't be recorded. So what you put in the chat, that's where it stays forever. Or have a pen and paper handy just to sort of jot down things, because this webinar today, it's more of like a workshop. It's about you addressing your thoughts and feelings and your relationship with money, and actually going through a process that supports you to overcome some of those barriers, so that you're going to get the most out of it if you engage with it. It's a lunchtime webinar, so you can eat your lunch and have a pen and write it down, type one-handed, put down your lunch, do some typing. We can make it work. So we're going to look at your worries. We're going to look at your relationship with money and where that's come from. We're going to look at your beliefs about money, and then we'll talk about what the model of the human being, a model of mind, the model of being a human being in the world, and where beliefs, the role that beliefs play in that, in terms of driving thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And we're then going to work through retraining your thinking about your money and finances. As always, I'm going to move quickly, because 30 minutes feels like a short burst, and so I always want to give people as much as possible. So I'll just move through things quickly, and I will trust that you will keep up, and I will trust that the logic of the process that I've set up is enough to hold you through that process. So first thing is that worries about money are very common. Rising interest rates, rising cost of living. Everybody, almost everybody, the 99.5% of us, we worry about money because it's about worrying that there's enough. What's a worry? Worries are thoughts that repeat. They're on a spin cycle. Oh, look, I'm thinking about that thing again. I'm thinking about that thing again. I'm thinking about that thing again. And sometimes they can have a feeling of spiraling. So when we talk about anxiety and depression, and with those things turn into disorders, essentially it's thoughts, worries, that then take on a trajectory of like a downward spiral of, it starts with something that I've just seen in front of me, and that's triggered a thought, that's triggered another thought, that's triggered another thought, that's triggered another thought, and now I'm despairing about the woe of the world and the woe of me in the world. What your mind is trying to do, so you are a very complex, highly evolved machine. That design is this funny word to use, but you're kind of designed by nature to predict the consequences of different possibilities so that you can avoid threats. At the end of the day, you just want to stay alive. So your mind is busy going, where's the threat? Where's the threat? Where's the threat? What do I do about the threat? And so when you're worrying about money, You're like, okay, well, I'm predicting a future threat. I can see that there's a problem that's going to occur. Last time we talked about income and expenditure. If my expenditure is exceeding my income, my brain is clever enough to go, that's just going to grow. I'm going to go into debt. I'm going to get to a level of debt that I know I'm not going to be repay. So of course your brain is going to be like really focusing on that. This is dangerous. This is a threat. This is the lion in the jungle or lion in the savannah. And so your brain is doing what it's supposed to. What we're going to do today is we're going to help your brain do it better in a way that works for you. Because often what your brain does is it focuses on the risk. It focuses on the problem. And we would call this a scarcity mindset. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as negative thinking. The original language of where this idea of positive or negative thinking came from the language of cognitive therapy. And the originators of it talked about thinking that's adaptive. Yeah, it's about evolution. It's about thinking in a way that achieves the goals and meets the needs in a way that's effective. That's adaptive thinking. This is maladaptive thinking. We're thinking about exactly the same sorts of things, but we're thinking about it in a way that inadvertently pushes us away from our goals, our desires, our wants, because the negative thinking and the scarcity mindset is driven by fear instead of by a goal. And in other language, we talk about that as towards thinking or towards values or away values. So a scarcity mindset is very much driven, and that negative thinking cycle is very much driven by fear and the things that I'm trying to get away from. So we're going to start with that because that's where people who are attending a webinar like this, that's where you're finding yourself. And I want you to recognize yourself in this. I want you to mentally go, yep, life is hard. I'm tired of it. There's just so much that's out of my control. I never get what I want. I never really amount to anything. Because of what's happened in my past, I can't be the person that I want to be in my future. I can't move forward. I feel stuck. Every day is a disappointment. I wish it didn't have to be this hard. Other people seem to be able to do it, but I can't. They seem to know how. I don't know. Why is it so easy for other people? It's not fair. I don't have enough money. I'll never have enough money. I don't have the skills to earn enough money. I don't know how to get the job that's going to get me that money. I don't have the networks that other people have that are going to be able to get me that job to make me the kind of money that I want. So all of this thinking makes you feel terrible. It brings up feelings of shame, of guilt, of insufficiency, and sadness. Those feelings are designed to motivate us towards where we want to go. But in our current where we live in our environment now, it often doesn't do that. First thing you should do is identify your worries. Yeah. So if this would be great in the chat. Yeah. And I'll read them out without identifying you, because what I want everyone to see who's here today is that other people have these kinds of thoughts. So if you can bring yourself to put in the chat, well, this is the thought that I have. This is the thing that spins around in my brain. Great, get it out there, because that's going to be really valuable for other people. And writing down your worries is a scientifically proven way to reduce them, to help you sleep better. Now, I've got a list of 5 things that we need to prioritize in order to have good physical and mental health. Top of that list is sleep. If you don't have sleep, everything else is stuffed. So if you can sleep better, then what you're doing is making a big difference in your life. The others are diet, exercise, connection, meaning, and purpose. Write them down. Reduce the worry, sleep better, and that helps you then to go, okay, this is the worry. What's the problem? Okay, what's the solution to the problem that I want? So you're always wanting to be trying to figure out, what do I want? What do I move towards because it's what I want? Okay, so what's your relationship with money? How would you describe your relationship with money and finances? And we don't often think about it as a relationship, but we all have a relationship with everything in the world. So what kind of relationship do you have? Is it a relationship of love, gratitude, kindness, generosity, pleasure, joy, excitement? Or is it a relationship of tension, nervousness, anxiety, insufficiency, worry, concern, feelings of not being good enough? Are you being gaslighted by money? Are you being love bombed by money? What's your personal relationship with money? And again, make a point of writing it down, because this is really important. Do you hope that you might just win the lotto? A lot of people do. Look, I've been dealt my cards in life. This is the job that I've got. This is how much it pays. Life's really hard. I've got kids and family, and look after my aging parents, and I need to do this and I need to do that. Well, I'll just go down the lotto every day, and I'll buy a ticket, and who knows, maybe I'll win. Maybe you're even drawn into gambling and pokies and trying to find ways to get out of your money worries by making a quick win. The thing is that we know that people who win multi-million dollar wins in the lotto, within the next couple of years, more than 70% of them are bankrupt. They have no money 2 to 3 years later. What this talks to is that it's not about having the money. It's about your relationship to money. It's about the mindset you have in relation to wealth, finances, and money itself. In the last webinar, I talked more about what money is. And people sometimes, you hear this phrase, it's just money. And I had an experience recently where I was spending time with a wealthier friend, and I could feel this real culture of, you're tight and you're not spending as much money as I am, and you should be spending as much money as I am. And it was ironic because he would tell me stories about richer friends of his that would spend more money, and he would feel that pressure. And then he's putting that on me, and I'm like, this is really interesting. We have a culture which is against being spendthrift. We have a culture where we're expected to spend lots of money, but that is antithetical. That works against actually saving money and having a good relationship with money. And that's part of the relationship we have with money. Oh, I'm expected to show my money and show that and spend it and give it to other people. All right. When you think about money, tune into your feelings. Yeah, because where we're getting to here is, what are your beliefs about money? Do you feel guilt, desperation, rage, stress, satisfaction, fun, disappointment, shame, frustration, love, fear, regret, pain, joy, laughter, anger, enjoyment, loss? What do you feel? Then the next part of that is to think about, okay, what's your story? What's the story? What's your story of money? How is what relationship did each of your parents have to money? What did money do to the relationship between them? Money destroyed my family. It tore them apart when the matriarch of the family died. My partner saw her parents fighting constantly about money. Money was a dangerous thing. What's your story? What are your earliest memories of people talking about money, of your relationship with money? How did your parents support or not support and facilitate you to develop your own relationship with money? Was it something that was actively done? Like, I'm really pretty active with my kids. You got a bank account, you can get a job, you can earn extra money, you get regular pocket money. If you don't do your household chores, you don't get your pocket money. That's the deal. You get more pocket money that every year that you get. I do it like whatever year of school you're in, that's the pocket money you get. So year 1, $1, year 2, $2, year 12, $12. So you're like, for like a 17-year-old, 18-year-old going to get $12 a week. Well, that's right. He always knew this was going to happen. But over time, it's meant that he's been able to build up some money in his bank account. He's been able to see how it grows through interest. And they've all had to make decisions about how they spend it. Did anybody do that with you? Did anybody teach you about how money works and that you could have a relationship with money? I got distracted earlier. I was talking about what money is. At the end of the day, money isn't just this thing. It's not just the paper. It's not just the coins. Money is a representation of value. And the most valuable thing that you have in your life is your time. Now, if you're here in this webinar, that means that you are devoting a big portion of your time, probably the majority of your life, to earning money. But do you translate that the rest of your time can also be valued by money? And if you value your time, then you should be also valuing your money. And what was the history of that? What was the history of how your time was valued and how that relates to your relationship with money? Think about the stories. What are the stories, the quotes, the truisms that your family or childhood friends, in the schoolyard, your siblings, what were the stories that they told about money? What were the stories that were told about wealth? And what were the stories that were told about those that have it? For me, I've got a bit of a Jewish heritage, and for me, the stories were always that Jews were really tight, and that there was a bad thing. The Jews would hold on to money, and they would scrounge money, and they're the Scrooges of the world, and that was a bad thing. So that was the stories that I was told. In the schoolyard, that was the reference for a person who was perceived as being not generous or not sufficiently effusive with the things that they had. Somebody who wouldn't share. They were called a Jew at my school. So what are your stories? What were you told? What were you told were the facts? It's just money. Money is for spending. Money is for living. Life is for living. I've got a number of friends who tell this story. I work to live. I don't live to work. Well, now that person has money, but they're in their 50s and they're going, I hate my job. And my job is the majority of my life. And I'm addicted to my job and the money that it brings me in. But I hate it because I had this story that I should live, that I should work so I could live outside of work rather than I live so that I live through my work. So what are the stories you tell yourselves? What are these stories that you keep telling yourselves? What do you keep telling yourself about money, about wealth, and those that have it? We hear in Australia about a tall poppy culture, where anyone who sort of starts to shine, we cut them down. We use our words, and this is common across a lot of cultures. Are people who are perceived as wealthy, are they cut down by the people that you know? Are they ridiculed? Do people find ways to poke holes in their personalities and suggest that because they have wealth, then they must be selfish, they must be greedy, they must be in some other way inadequate as a moral being? So what are your stories? Write them down. I'm serious. Like, if you get this stuff down on paper, this webinar can change your life. Okay. So what does that mean? Look, if you have been writing this down, you can now look back and go, okay, how does this translate into beliefs? What do I believe about money? What do I believe about wealth? And what do I believe about people that have money and have wealth? Because those beliefs are going to translate into reality. Yeah, that's the essence of what this webinar is about. Your beliefs will translate into reality. And I'm just going to show you a slide in a moment that will actually take you through the dynamics of this, specifically how this process occurs. But what do you believe? And if you just write down, I believe that I don't deserve money. I believe that my maximum income is X. People often have a belief. My maximum income is X. You might surprise yourself, go, where did that belief come from? But it's there. And it holds you, like it keeps you beneath that level. I believe that I've always believed that I would only ever have X amount in the bank, and then look at your bank account and it will be under that number. And when it gets above that number, you will spend it. You'll get rid of it, because your belief and your reality, they can't clash. Pretty much the definition of anxiety is a clash between my beliefs about myself and the world itself. And I can only do one of two things when there's such a clash. I can change the world, or I can change my beliefs. Most of us find it easier to change the world than change our beliefs. So if I believe that this is what I'm worth, I will make reality fit my belief. So we need to question our beliefs. Your beliefs drive your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. And having looked at your beliefs and having a look at how your beliefs might then lead to the thoughts that you have, the feelings that you have, and the behaviors that you enact in the world, Ask yourself, are they bringing you closer to your financial goals, or are they actually taking you further away from them? We're not talking about goals today because we talked about that last time, but you need to have goals. You need to have a picture in your mind, a vision of where you would like to be. You do not have to worry about whether it's realistic or not. That's actually irrelevant. A lot of us get caught in, oh, it's not rational, it's not realistic. Oh, how do you know what's realistic and what's not? You don't. None of us do. You are entitled to have a vision and aspiration for what it is that you would like without being too attached to it. That's part of the secret. All right. So your beliefs have consequences. Yeah. Have a think about the consequences for you and for the people that you care about, your partner, your children, your parents, your friends, of you holding that belief about money. This is the model I was talking about. It looks a bit messy. It looks a bit clunky. I know that. But essentially, if you start on the left-hand side, there is reality. Yeah. And reality's got a big star because reality is something that all of us as fairly rational beings in the world need to be able to attend to. However, reality is not what we experience. We have no access to reality at all. At all. All we have is an interpretation, a perception of reality. Now, our perception, as indicated through this brain, I'm not talking about science here for a moment. Science seeks to measure reality using instruments, so it tries to get closer and closer to reality using instruments, but it will never get there. We can never get to reality through science. We can only get to ideas about reality, get closer to truer ideas about reality through science. We can't actually get to reality itself. Our perception of reality is distorted. It's always distorted. It's not like, is it distorted? I'm not sure. It's always distorted. Yeah. Because there are like, we don't even know. Like there's 100 billion tiny bits of information coming into your brain right now. Your brain can't cope with that. In fact, your brain can barely cope with 5 plus or minus 2 chunks. So somewhere between 3 and 7 chunks of information. So we've got this massive filtration system. Reality is coming in and we are filtering it out. We're filtering in. So we're just focusing on the screen, one word at a time. What Nigel's saying too much. How I can't really take it all in. We have inside of us our core beliefs. We have intermediate beliefs, like a set of rules around how those beliefs, about how those beliefs are manifest in the world. We call these rules, attitudes, assumptions, expectations. And then these also drive automatic thoughts. So we have beliefs and we have reality coming in. We have our core beliefs that are filtering what's coming in, then filtering our response. A lot of our response is initiated by these automatic thoughts. Automatic thoughts drive our emotions. Our emotions trigger more thoughts. We have this back and forth of emotions and thoughts. And then we have the things that we say and the things that we do in response to that reality. And that's the mechanism of being a human being. Reality comes in, we process the hell out of reality, and then we spit something out. And that thing that we spit out through our words and behaviors has a subtle effect on that reality. So we need to separate ourselves from our thoughts. Use mindfulness. There's a lot of what I'm talking about is in the Uprise app or in the uprise.co website when you log in and access the library. And there's mindfulness activities there where you can learn that you are not your thoughts and your thoughts are not your reality. In the first module, which is called Retraining Thinking, Mindset Retraining Thinking, it takes you through a very similar process to what I'm taking you through now. And it shares with you some common consequences of believing your thoughts. And these are the common consequences. You feel bad, you feel resentful, unproductive, feel like trying, giving up, feel like you have to hide from others, act in ways that you don't want to, get grumpy, get defensive, treat yourself badly, go into autopilot, feel numb, lose confidence, feel incapable, procrastinate, feel physically sick and tense in your body, and feel less than others, that you're not as good as other people. So this is consequences of believing your thoughts. What are we getting at here is whatever these thoughts are that you're having, whatever these worries are, they're not truths. And a really good question to ask yourself about your thoughts is, what are some of the reasons why this thought isn't 100% true in all situations at all times? And that's about accessing evidence from reality. Get 3 bits of evidence from reality that then then challenge that thought. I think that people who are wealthy are all greedy and selfish. All right, let's find 3 pieces of evidence to suggest 3 pieces of evidence against that belief. These are some good reasons why your thoughts aren't true. This is in the module in the app. There are times when the opposite is just as true. Someone said something, done something that means the thought can't be totally true. Other people have told you reasons why it's not true, and you partly believe them. You have strengths that believe the thought isn't true. There are genuine reasons why things are likely to work out okay. When you don't believe your unhelpful thought, you act differently. This is absolutely true for all of us. When I don't believe my unhelpful thought, I act differently. I've overcome similar problems in the past, even when I thought I couldn't. Another good thing to do is if you have a specific thought about a specific moment when you've been in a situation that's been very uncomfortable. Today we're focusing on money, but it could be about anything. You take yourself back to that moment and you imagine yourself like as visually and as clearly as possible, the moment, the thoughts, the feelings, the conversation, what you said, what the other person said. And then you go back to that moment when you thought that triggered whatever the emotional response was in yourself. And you can ask yourself in that moment, who would I be? Or if you're actually really able to get yourself in the moment, who am I now? If I didn't have that thought, who would I be? And the answer is almost invariably, I would just be a person in this situation experiencing this moment. All of the emotion, all of the catastrophizing, all of the disaster scenarios that are playing out, without the thought, driven by the belief, they're gone. And what this is about, it's about freedom. Yeah, it's about freedom, realizing that in any moment, without the preconditioned, encoded thoughts that you already have, you're free to choose. And a good way to just figure out, okay, well, what do I choose? Because what we know is you can't choose nothing. Yeah, sitting in absolute stillness and silence is something that, monks sit on mountains for decades to master. But we can change our thinking very, very quickly and very, very easily. And some of the language around this is to turn it around. So what was my thought? My thought was, I'm not good enough. Yeah, or I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of money. What's the opposite? I am enough. I am worthy. Now, can you believe it? Because it's really important for your brain to be willing to believe that. Now, if your brain doesn't believe it, just change the language. Well, I maybe think that I could be worthy one day. Oh, does your brain believe that? Yeah, I'll buy that. You'll know if your brain believes it or doesn't believe it. Your brain needs to believe it. Then tune into your body. Like, what does it feel in your body? What do you feel in your body when you think that new thought? And then what are the consequences? Like, if you lived every day with that new thought instead of the old thought, this new thought that's actually taking you closer to your goals, not further away, what might be the consequence? What might the consequences be? In the short term, over a few days, if I could thought differently over a few days? What if I thought differently over a few weeks and a few months? What if I continued to think differently for years? And the metaphor I use here is that all I've done is change one thought, which has changed one belief. And it's like you set out from Australia on a ship and it's on a course. Now you might just change that course by 1 degree. No one on the ship even notices. No one even sees that you've changed course. But whether you end up in Auckland or whether you end up in Alaska, that's the difference in that 1 degree. Same with life. Change one thought and life changes. New beliefs, new thoughts, new emotions, new behaviors. And what that does is that then creates a new reality, and it changes your perception of reality too. Like what gets filtered in and what gets filtered out, that changes. So changing your mindset really enables you to change reality. And it can change so if I just take the money, the scarcity mindset and flip it, so we turn it around. Well, what's the money mindset? What's an abundance mindset? That's how we often hear about it on YouTube. What's the abundance mindset? Life isn't always easy, but I'm up to the challenge. I know that there's things that I can't control, so I'm going to focus on the things that I can control. I know what I want, and I have the skills and resources that I need to make it happen. I'm always seeking out new information and learning new things. The past is the past, and my focus is on the future. I'm proud of what I managed to achieve today. These are all thoughts. You can actually just take these away. You can just take a screenshot, and you can just make your brain say this over and over again. Your brain is a computer. What you think, it will program. If you believe it, that programming will set. repetition and belief. I'm proud of what I managed to achieve today. Today, I'm grateful for the little things in life that I already have. I can do it. The only person I ever compare myself to is the person that I was yesterday. You can change all of these things. You can program your mind to think these things in a way that's going to support you to move towards your goals, financial, relationships, otherwise. I also like, and this is a good place to finish, because the danger of having a vision for the future is that you constantly become aware of the gap. So there's actually a way of being aware of what you want for the future, having a vision, having goals, and also making a conscious decision to be grateful and accept what you've already got. Because the definition of happiness, or a definition of happiness, is wanting what you've already got. All right. Well, I really hope that that was helpful, everyone. As I said, the modules in the app are there and available. Do I recommend any books? Look, just the common ones like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's actually loads out there. Just it depends what you're interested in. So look at wealth creation. Just Google stuff. That's what I do. I Google. I look at Audible a lot. I do a lot of audiobooks, and also Amazon and other secondhand bookshops. Yeah, there's loads of stuff out there on these topics. Thanks, everyone. Take care. All the best, and talk to you next time.